he's not playing well.
He's not playing hard.
That's a direct quote.
He's not playing hard. The want to is not there. And those were my words, which, you know, anytime you ask a question like that, you're looking for the coach to have a chance to not say that that's the case. And this time he's like, that's actually the case.
Yeah. You got to listen to this. And I'm sorry I'm sorry if this bothers you. I really am. And we've had this conversation for so long now. And I do know, I get it. Some of you feel like this is, I don't know, a victory lap for people who are against JK. I don't even like that label. I'm not against Jonathan Kuminga. I simply see this situation a certain way because this DNP is built differently than the previous DNPs. Those previous DNPs were high leveraged situations, playoff games, play-in games, all of that stuff. This time it was just Sunday in Chicago. So the first one right there, you asked him, can he be part of the Stay Ready crew? And his answer is kind of like, his ambition. Basically, his ambitions are a little bit too high for that. Yeah, his ambitions are to start, play a lot, 25 or 30 minutes, and be featured, and that doesn't really go along with being a stay-ready guy. No, and I think that is a horrible characteristic to have for any athlete. Your coach has a hard time saying that, yes, you'll stay ready in every moment. I think that's a very bad characteristic. Jonathan Kuminga is the number one most polarizing situation of 2025 in Bay Area sports. Right. Brandon Ayuk won the award last year. He will be on hand at the award show on New Year's Eve to hand it over to Jonathan this year. That's the way it went. So, sure, we're guilty on that, just like everybody is. We are. All of you listening too. Right, and we got to that spot in the interview, and I was asking him a loaded question that was designed for him to say, no, I wouldn't say it's effort or want to. I just don't think that the combinations and the connectivity and the fit right now, you know, we still love JK and what he can bring to our team, blah, 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 blah. But instead, Steve, is it the effort? Is it the want to? And he goes, yeah. And then he says, for sure. Right. Yes, for sure. He's not playing well. He's not playing hard. That's a direct quote. He's not playing hard. The want to is not there. And those were my words, which, you know, anytime you ask a question like that, you're looking for the coach to have a chance to not say that that's the case. And this time he's like, that's actually the case. Yeah. That was what was shocking. And I looked at Grandy and he looked at me and he's like, I can't believe he answered that like that. And I was thinking, I can't either. To me, this is all kind of like laying in the weeds under the radar. But he gets a DNP on Sunday and people are sort of like, oh, we're back here again. No. This is way worse in my opinion. And I'm sorry to say, this is exactly what I was worried about all summer long. We are here. This is what I was worried about, and this is not for me to pile on JK. The point that I actually have today is this is a failure by the Golden State Warriors to correctly assess when was the right time to move on, because I believe that time has now passed. It doesn't mean that they won't. It doesn't mean that they won't get anything in return. It just means that it's not optimal. It's not an optimization sensation. Is what it is, because the Warriors have clearly felt this way for a while, and all summer long it was wait, and then they do this contract that, let's be honest, feels a little bit like putting a square peg into a round hole, because they wanted to try to maximize the asset, and maximizing the asset probably means doing something 2 years ago. Well, and I don't think that they at that point were ready to, quote, give up on Jonathan Kuminga. And I look at this past summer, and I don't think that was the time. We went round and round all summer on this idea of the qualifying offer, the sign and trade, what Kuminga wants, who might want him, what's the package. We all kind of ground ourselves into submission over the same thing over and over and over. So I'm going to withhold judgment on the right time or the wrong time based on how this ends, because they might get to the deadline or when they can move him January 15th, and they might still get a nice, nifty package back from whoever for Jonathan Kuminga. Sure. So we don't know that, and I don't think that the summer was the right time. And if you want to go back a couple years, well, I think that's a little unfair, because
before Jimmy Butler came and before Kuminga got hurt, he was playing his best basketball. And they weren't always winning those games, but he was showing you the player that he thinks that he is and that they thought that he could be. So circumstances led in a certain direction. He got hurt, Butler came, he got DNPs and all the rest of it. But I do think that if you go back to last year, it's unfair to say that, the team should have seen this end game because he was playing well.
Yeah, but first of all, I think you said something key in there. You're still not winning a whole lot of those games. You were winning some, but it's not like it was translating to winning. And secondly, you do have to go back further and remember, like there was a rebounding issue, like the organization for a long time, whether they're right or wrong almost is not even my issue right now. Their assessment is that there has been a problem in terms of style of play, and now we're in the space of effort. Now we're really in an offensive space. This is really an offensive space. Like, how would you all feel if, give me a young player for the Giants. How about Bryce Eldridge? Bryce Eldridge is in the opening day lineup for the Giants. And 3 games in, they send him down to the minors. But it's because he keeps hitting ground balls to second base and then not running to first. Would all of you stand up and be like, you have to give Bryce a chance?
It was a little bit like Doval, I think, when
very good call.
He was closing, and then he was a little bit chaffed that they had him come in games that weren't safe situations, and he got lit up, and then he kind of went into a funk, and it's like he's not the same pitcher he was the year before when he was an all-star. So he got sent out, came back up, pitched well, and then some of those things kind of percolated again, and he got dealt.
Yep.
So I think that's a fair comp.
Yeah, I think it's a very fair comp. So these are, to me, this is, I don't know. I know a lot of people are like, oh, same old story. I think this is different, in my opinion. And to have Steve Kerr openly agree with you or confirm your question by saying yes, effort, want to, these are problems right now. I think it's a big deal.
Yeah, and I think what you said about the timing of it is what makes it so just kind of head-scratching because it's not a high-leverage game. It's just a game in December, just another one of these NBA games, and he didn't get to play at all?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not going to remove the possibility of players being kind of late bloomers, especially when you're Jonathan and he doesn't come from that kind of structured college basketball background. So I hear what Pert is saying. I don't think necessarily you can always see it right away because the conversation changed from fit to effort.
Yeah.
That to me is people want to know what's new in the JK situation. Well, my opinion is that the conversation that we had with Steve Kerr was a conversation changer. And that's the quickest way for me to say it. We've been talking about fit, and now we're talking about effort. And there's no lower thing that you can accuse a player of than lacking effort.
Especially when that was a big talking point throughout the summer. And even last year, we had our exit interview with Steve, and I asked him about, can it fit? Can it work? And he said, yeah, I'd like to think so, but I do. But it was going to be, we need him in camp, and we need to work on it, and we need to put our heads together and figure out how it can work. And you look at the start of the year, and it did work. He was playing with effort and force, and it was working. And Jimmy had that big article, I think it was Anthony Slater in ESPN, and talking about taking him out to dinner and putting his arm around him and, big brothering him and all the rest of it. And from then to now, it's only been maybe 3 weeks or 4 weeks of time since that article. And now we're back to DNPs and talk of effort.
Yeah, I wouldn't use the word mismanagement. What I would say is that strategically, it's the wrong pick. Not just it's the wrong pick, he's a bad player, bad guy, none of that stuff. Like, that's the number one thing I'd love to remove for this conversation. He even said, like, the JK bashing. It just isn't. I don't see it that way. It's not Jonathan Kuminga bashing. It's nothing personal against it. It is a situation where we're looking at a basketball team and one of its high-level picks that are not working out, and we got to figure out why. And if you do want to go back to the beginning and say the Warriors thought that their championship run was done, so they went with a project, and it turns out their run wasn't done, I think that's a very fair criticism. I also don't think that's a very nefarious mistake, though. Like, that's, you know what I mean?
I do think it's one born out of hubris, and I don't know if it's a Laker production, but the whole 2 timelines thing which is a mythical ideology, but
Agreed.
it reeks of two timelines where you've got a team of veterans and you're thinking, all right, we're going to go young with projects and think that in 3 to 5 years, when our old guys are old, these young guys are going to be ready to pop and flash, and we're going to turn the page into our whole new group.
Yep. I think this is a great point. I really do. Like that makes a whole lot of sense to me. But when you get to the more modern level of this, when you get to now, when you get to the last 20 months of this story, I don't think the Warriors have mismanaged it. I think that Jonathan Kuminga has not taken advantage of the opportunities that he's been given, and he should absolutely be thankful for those opportunities because it's year 5. And now you've got a coach questioning effort and an NBA dignitary. Like, honestly, like the JK side of it is one thing. The other side to this that really stinks is a multi-time championship coach has somehow got a portion of the fan base thinking he's a jerk, thinking that he is stupid, thinking that he should be fired. Look, if you think that, you think that. But people with 4 rings usually don't kind of get treated that way because I don't think that this is as personal as everyone has liked to have made it.